Hello, everybody. Welcome. Hey, KRD. Thank you. So, a couple of things happened today. A couple of updates happened, and I'm going to talk about some things that I've heard in the rumor department aren't necessarily should be taken as truth, but I do think that one of the things I heard is interesting and could maybe maybe be the case, but first things first, the first update of today, let me show it. Share screen. The Two Rivers Police Department today at almost 4:00 p.m. The red and white plaid blanket was located on Goodwin Road, east of County Road B in Manitowoc County. Earlier in this investigation, a woman found a blanket, and she called LE law enforcement, and they just now confirmed today that it was Elijah's blanket. This blanket was located 3.7 miles from the 3900 block of Mishicot Road out in the city of Two Rivers, where Elijah was reported missing on February 20th, 2024. So it was a bit of a miles away. We continue to request the public's assistance in checking all the urban and rural areas, including water, to find Elijah and locate any evidence related to his disappearance. Please continue to search and contact us immediately with any information you feel relevant through our tip line 844-267-6648, the Manitowoc County Crime Stoppers P3 app, or the police department email. Those with information leading to the discovery of Elijah may be eligible for a reward up to $40,000, $10,000 from Manitowoc County Crime Stoppers for the arrest and charge of the individuals responsible for his disappearance, $15,000 for information leading to the location and return of Elijah Vu and or the arrest or conviction of individuals involved in his disappearance, and the additional $5,000 thanks to funds raised by donations set up to the city of Two Rivers. Signed, the police chief. So that's today's update. So I wanted to look up for you guys where this road is to show you a map. Google Maps. Let's see, it's on Goodwin Road, east of County B. So Goodwin Road. And it's walk. All right, so here's Goodwin Road, and it says east of, that's north, south, east of County Road. Is this County Road B? Because it says B on it. It might be it. Because like it says B on it, so it might be in this area. So just to expand, there's Two Rivers. There's Mishicot. So if we do directions from, what was it again? 9300 block, Mishicot. Well, let's just say Mishicot. Mishicot, Wisconsin. It's about a 12-minute drive, but if you were to walk, that's 4 hours. So I guess the assumption is that if this little boy truly left the house, and Jesse, you know, if he just left without any adults, just like walked out the door somehow. So like Jesse, let's just set the scene here. Jesse double locked the door, apparently, the front door. So if this little 3-year-old boy was still able to unlock the locks somehow, and then he could walk from Mishicot to this area right here before losing his blanket somehow. And these are highways, by the way. These aren't like easy streets to walk down. These are actual like highways. I'm just playing around with the walk thing. I don't know if this is a realistic way a child would walk. Like, it's ridiculous to even think that. What the heck? Let's go back to the best routes. See, it's just, you know. So I'm thinking that they do it like this is because this is the best route on foot because it's more safe for people. But yeah. I wonder if I could type in 3900 block, Mishicot, Wisconsin. It doesn't show up anything. It's not an address. But yeah, anyway. So that's Goodwin Road. Is right here. So if this is the B road that they're talking about, then the blanket was found within this area, east of this area. So I think if I was searching, that would be the area I would start concentrating more on. Block of Mishicot Road in the city. Oh, it's the block of Mishicot Road. Mishicot Road in Two Rivers. There you go. It's a little closer. It's 2 hours. 10-minute drive. So yeah, see, there's Highway B, County Road B. Yep. So you go down County Road B, and then so this is like it's around here. They found his blanket. I haven't seen any pictures online of what the blanket looks like other than the description that the police gave. So, and I know that the shoe that they found was next to a dumpster next to his house apartment, and they still have yet to confirm if that was his shoe or what, but I think it's pretty safe to say because the shoe matches the description that Jesse gave of the clothes that this little boy was wearing. So Yeah, but that's today they did say, they confirmed that that was his blanket. So the next thing I want to show you guys real quickly is some court stuff happened. So let me see if I can show it to you. Yes. All right. So Jesse now has representation, which I mean, I prefer. I think everyone's entitled to a lawyer. Whether or not somebody I feel is guilty or not. And the reason why is the important reason for me is that if you, especially if you're guilty, you need to have everything done correctly, because if you get prosecuted and they truly are guilty, then, you know, they're exactly where they belong. So they need to follow the correct protocol and all that. And so I'm glad that they finally have a lawyer for him. This was filed today by his lawyers. Jesse Vang appeared specifically by defense counsel and reserved objections to the court's jurisdiction, moves the court for an order requiring the state to make a criminal complaint more definite or certain, or an alternative, in order dismissing the complaint. So he's basically asking for charges to be dropped. He's asking for defendant's motion to make complaint more definite and certain, or to dismiss for insufficient. So that's basically, he's basically asking for them to dismiss it. In support, Mr. Vang asserts, due process requires that defendant be informed of the nature and cause of allegations against him. And then they cited a case where it created a citing, in order to determine whether there has been a violation of a defendant's due process right to be informed of the nature and cause of allegations against him. Courts look at whether the complaint states an offense to which he can plead and prepare a defense, and whether conviction or acquittal is a bar to another prosecution for the same offense. Courts must consider whether the complaint alleges facts that identify the alleged criminal conduct with reasonable certainty. No matter how abhorrent the alleged conduct may be, a defendant's due process rights cannot be ignored or trivialized. So here's his reasoning behind why they should drop and or give more specific charges. Mr. Vang is charged with one count of neglecting a child in violation of Wisconsin statute section 948.21. As charged in the criminal complaint, this offense has 6 elements, which are as follows. The child cannot be attained the age of 18 years old. The defendant was a person responsible for the welfare of the child. The defendant, through action and for reasons other than poverty, failed to provide necessary care. The failure to provide seriously endangered the physical, mental, or emotional health of the child. Failure to provide was neglected. Hence, the natural and probable consequences of the neglect would be death, great bodily harm, a child sex offense, emotional damage, or bodily harm. Let me get the second one uploaded. All right. Open sesame. The criminal complaint alleges various conduct of Mr. Vang between February 12th and February 20th. However, the criminal complaint neither does not provide Mr. Vang with sufficient notice as to what the conduct is alleged to be neglectful, and or fails to allege sufficient facts from which can be inferred that Mr. Vang committed the offense charges. With respect to the lack of notice, the criminal complaint does not provide Mr. Vang with sufficient information that would allow him to plead and prepare a defense. Upon reading the criminal complaint, it is unclear as to what behavior Mr. Vang is alleged to have engaged in that would be considered a failure to provide necessary care. It is the state's alleging that Mr. Vang, having the alleged victim stand for 1 to 3 hours at a time without failure to provide necessary care. Is the state alleging that Mr. Vang changing the alleged victim's diaper at least once per day a failure to provide necessary care? Is the state alleging that Mr. Vang locking the front door with the lock on the doorknob and the deadbolt, security chain, and going to sleep while the alleged victim was in a timeout a failure to provide necessary care? In short, the complaint fails to provide sufficient notice to Mr. Vang as to the alleged neglectful action that would allow him to plead and prepare for defense. In order to provide Mr. Vang with sufficient notice, the state must make the criminal complaint more definite and certain to what behavior Mr. Vang is alleged to have done that would be considered a failure to provide necessary care. Moreover, the criminal complaint also fails to allege sufficient facts from which can be inferred that Mr. Vang committed the offense with which he is charged. In order to establish probable cause for a count of neglecting a child, the complaint must allege that Mr. Vang's failure. Hold on, I'm muting my phone. Wait, where was I? The complaint must allege that Mr. Vang's failure to provide necessary care seriously endangered the physical, mental, or emotional health of a child, and that the natural, probable consequences of his neglect would be death, great bodily harm, a child sex offense, emotional damage, or bodily harm. I'm going to pause here because this could be argued. It could be argued to say that not changing a child's diaper only once a day can cause harm. I mean, I don't know if it would consider it great bodily harm, but I mean, that's definitely a rash of some sort or body sores. I mean, what's your definition of great bodily harm? To me, that it just seems a little, I don't know, like estimating the things that he was doing to this child. Like, for instance, mental harm. Like, what is it? Emotional damage. Like, you don't think making a kid stand for like hours on end while you like watch TV or whatever, is it somehow emotionally damaging that child? I mean, this kid was 3. You got to remember that. So, I don't know. And like all of this stuff can be proven later in court too, I would imagine, like as far as the prosecutor proving that these actions were causing harm to the 3-year-old, the victim. So, I mean, that's how I look at it. I mean, they say great bodily harm or bodily harm. So there's like 2 degrees of it. So I would think not changing a kid's diaper, and only changing it once a day, that could cause regular bodily harm. I don't know. The complaint fails to set forth essential facts from which can be inferred that the child's physical, mental, or emotional health was seriously endangered. I mean, mental or emotional, physical, I mean, it kind of, I don't know. I guess maybe I'm trying to see the logic in this, because it's like, how is punishing a child and threatening them to behave, or else you're going to give them a cold shower, that would cause mental and emotional health issues, right? I mean, that's not cool. In addition to how the natural and probable consequences of any Mr. Vang's alleged conduct, death, great bodily harm, and child sex offense, emotional damage, or bodily harm, the complaint fails to answer these questions and therefore does not provide probable cause to believe Mr. Vang committed the offenses charged. Wherefore, the reasons stated above, Mr. Vang's request that the court grant this motion and enter an order requiring the state to make criminal complaint more defiant and certain to provide Mr. Vang with sufficient notice that would allow him to plead and prepare a defense. In the alternative, Mr. Vang requests that the court grant this motion and enter an order dismiss the criminal complaint. Hey, Jinx. I don't know if this is gonna fly. We're just gonna have to wait for the state to respond, because that's normally, if you file something, the state has an option to respond, and I'm interested to see what the state has to say. I don't necessarily agree with the lawyer's argument. I can kind of understand where the lawyer is coming from, but I think it's kind of like saying, well, just because he didn't change his diaper, but once a day, doesn't mean that that's great bodily harm. But then, I mean, it could cause, like I said, all sorts of issues and problems for the kids. If you don't change their diaper, they can get really bad diaper rash and like issues. It could cause infections. Like, I mean, it's not as bad as, I guess, child abuse can be, but it's still neglect. That's neglect. I mean, like, when I was working a caregiver, if I didn't change the client's diaper within like a certain time period of them soiling, like, I was supposed to check on them once every hour, and if it was soiled, you changed on them, right? So like, if they sat in a dirty diaper for more than like a couple hours, that's neglect. That's abuse, and that's for adults. So I can't understand how that's not the same for a child. I just don't get it, I guess. And maybe the state just needs to work on the language of how they charge him. Maybe that's what it means. I don't know. But yeah, I'm interested to see what happens with this. I think it's also like kind of like a let's just see what happens if we file this, and maybe they'll drop the charges. I doubt they will, because this is a high profile case, and it's just not gonna just go away. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, that's kind of what's happening today. There was a theory I wanted to talk about that I saw somewhere. Now, this is just a theory. I have no proof. If anybody does have proof, I would love to see it. But one of the theories, or one of the rumors I heard, is that while Katrina has been in jail, one of her cellmates that she had with her, she mentioned to her cellmate that maybe he decided to walk to his grandmother's house, which is on a farm. I don't know where the farm is compared to where the blanket was, but some people are thinking that either A, that could have happened. I don't see this little boy walking from an apartment building to a farm, because how would he know how to get there? But a lot of people also think that she just said that to kind of like distract from the case, or maybe even hint to where his body could be located. But I think it's an odd thing to say. Like, as if she was trying to say, like, oh, well, maybe he was trying to walk to the farm, and if they find his body somewhere between the apartment and the farm, then she could try to say, see, he tried to walk there. But like I said, it doesn't make sense for a 3-year-old to try to walk many miles to an area. Like, how would he know how to get there? You know, that just doesn't make sense to me. But that is one of the rumors I heard, in that the farm is technically like 3 miles from the apartment. But I don't know where the farm is. I hadn't seen proof of this. And, you know, jailhouse, they call them jailhouse snitches, should be taken with a grain of salt. Because this is a high profile case, we don't really know if the person really was a cellmate. We don't know if they're just talking just to talk. We don't know. So, I like to have 100% facts, but I just thought that was interesting. And the only reason why I mention it is because I can see her trying to make that claim later on down the road. Like, see, he was trying to walk to my mom's house. Well, I don't think that is likely for a 3-year-old. This is a 3-year-old. Like, this isn't like a teenager. This is a 3-year-old. But I know a lot of people have been making maps too in the group that I'm in, as far as like, this is where they were, this is where they were, this is where. So I'm gonna go ahead and show that real quick, and give full credit to the person who posted this. I'm not gonna say their last name, but the first name is Aaron. So thank you, Aaron, for sharing this with the group. Let me bring it up, because I think it's super interesting. And it kind of gives a perspective also of where everybody was heading around to. So this is a map of the area. So Jesse's apartment is right here. The auto shop that they saw Jesse and Elijah in a day or two before his disappearance. This is where the blanket, they say, could be, or was found. That has now been confirmed as Elijah's blanket. Here's the bar that Jesse went to, Marco's Pizza. Here's the Quick Trip, I believe, that Katrina went to. So that tells you the bar versus Quick Trip. So a lot of people are saying that, I think it's safe to assume that it would be the wisest to search in this area, because especially if the blanket was found here. But yeah, this just kind of gives you, and then this is the route that they might have taken or could have taken to get around. So, and a lot of this area, I don't know if you guys have ever been. If you live there, then you know. But a lot of this area is like rural, like, area. You see how it's like very green? It's very rural. fields and stuff, so it'd be very easy, I would think, to hide things. But yeah. And then here's Manitowoc, I believe. And there's Two Rivers. And then Mishicot is up here somewhere. So, yep. But yeah, that's the quick little update I have for you guys. Unfortunately, we still don't know where little Elijah is. I'm going to post the picture with the phone number because, again, this is about finding Elijah and bringing justice to what could have happened to him, and hopefully he's still out there somewhere. But unfortunately, we're coming up to a month in the next couple of days of him being missing, because he was missing on February 20th, and it's almost March 20th. It's March 18th today. So praying for a miracle, for a good outcome, but the likelihood is getting slimmer and slimmer as time goes by. But if anybody has any information about where little Elijah could be, call 844-267-6648 at the time of he went missing. I think that's the blanket in the picture here, to be honest with you. But he was 3 foot tall, 45 pounds, brown hair and brown eyes. He is of, I believe, Asian descent. So if anybody has any information, please contact the Mats. You can contact Two Rivers Police Department, the state tip line. We just need to find him and bring an end to this. And yeah, I keep praying that I feel like Katrina and Jesse obviously know what happened, and I keep praying that, they do the right thing and do right by this little boy that they did wrong by for so long, and that they eventually say what really happened that day. But yeah, so that's what I have for today. Thank you everybody for stopping by, and let's hope for better news tomorrow.